Mainland FM 98.3.
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Well, good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. I trust we had amazing night rest. And, well, it's Friday, the 8th of September 2023. And everybody loves Fridays. Fridays are amazing times. Fridays are times that people look forward to. And I hope we're excited about this weekend, irrespective of whatever it is that is happening around us in the country. Well, the anxiety is still there for some people. The conversation, of course, is still there. And trust me, 98.3 FM to always, give you the platform to air your voice as regards national issues, issue-based conversations. Very important for us to keep talking about it until we see the change that we desire for our dear country. My name is Omobola Sandra, and we'll be looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. I have the papers here with me: The Guardian, Nigerian Tribune, New Telegraph, and The Punch newspaper in no particular order. We'll do this up until 8:30, and then by 8:40, we move on to Mainland Focus. Mainland Focus is the part where you, our dear listener, get to be a part of the conversation. Share your thoughts as regards the focus for today. We'll pick one or two or more major trending stories and then open up the full line for you to join in the conversation. That's what we do in Mainland Focus. But before then, to give analysis to the stories that we're going to be doing this morning, we'll be having Saheed Fuhad joining in via the phone line. And that's in a bit. Okay, yes, we have him already. Good morning, Fuhad.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm chirpy. It's Friday. I'm excited.
Yes. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes. How are you doing, Fuad?
Yeah, I'm good. Just observing and looking at things as they pan out in the country.
All right. Well, let's see what we have as things are panning out, just as you have mentioned. I'll start with the Guardian newspaper. But before then, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So you can join the program live as well, or you can share the link to your family, friends, and loved ones wherever they are in any part of the world to listen in on trending stories in Nigeria at this time. All right, so at Mainland 98.3 FM on Facebook and YouTube, and you can also drop your comments in the live chat section. Now, the major headline on the front page of The Guardian: poor lessons from 2020, endless wait for palliatives in states amid accountability deficits. So let's see what we have here as regards, distribution of palliatives, what's going on and all. What we have is, as governments across states roll out bullet points of achievement to mark the first 100 days in office, citizens are left with little or nothing to cheer as they hustle their way out of the biting socio-economic realities. Apparently, to douse the tension, the federal government rolled out a palliative plan with 2 billion naira already disbursed to each state government. Now, findings, however, have shown that the attendant distribution of palliative, when seen at all, is largely reminiscent of the 2020 experience, where we had palliative hoarding, thieving, looting by the deprived public, and whatnot. This report is a compilation from different parts of the country. I see, from different states now. And we have questions here: where are the palliatives? How is it being distributed? And then we also have a deja vu. Fuad, I'm sure we remember last week the conversation about some people storming a particular warehouse in Bayelsa State. Thank you very much. To help themselves to the palliatives. So can we blame the people, or is it still on the trust deficit, the fact that people don't trust that the governors will do the needful?
It's just corruption, and we anticipated this, Sandra. I don't think I'm surprised. I'm not surprised at the fact that the distribution of palliative is ending in or what you can consider a complete failure. We knew it was going to happen. The politicians would never do the right thing. You know, political considerations, political jobbing, corruption would come in, auditing would come into it. And that's why some of us were against the idea of palliatives, you know, giving money out to buy rice and beans and careers. You know, it was going to be fraught with corruption, and I knew this was going to happen. And the Guardian newspaper, again, has done a very good report, you know, taking the report across different states, getting reports. I think the only state that, you know, for me, has done fairly well with the institution of palliatives would have to be Borno State. That's Governor Zulum of Borno State. And the reason is that they are used to that in Borno State anyways. You know, you have a lot of IDP camps, you have a lot of displaced people. We've always seen pictures of him giving out food, rice, beans, and all of that to people. And so it was easy for them to do it. It's just a normal ritual for them in Borno State. But for other states, okay, in Lagos now, we are the palliatives. And let's start with our own state. In Ogun State, we are the palliatives. We saw rice, so the governor announced that they were giving bags of rice. But the question is to how many people really in Ogun State? Ogun State is about, it's a state of about 4 million people. How many people got the rice? Less than 100,000 persons. That's not even enough for a local government. You know, so again, it is what it is. Well, money for the boys.
Yeah, but Fahad, putting it against, you know, the 2020 pandemic palliative and all of that, you know, especially the way things were hoarded and, you know, people now have to go out and do something by themselves. Maybe palliative is really not the way to go. Or what do you think?
It is not the way to go, Sandra. We experienced it in the past until people start breaking into warehouses. A lot of us never knew that there were those things in those warehouses. Until the people now started breaking into those warehouses, you know, breaking into houses of politicians. Before they started seeing a lot of the COVID palliatives kept in warehouses, branded by politicians, you know, they were keeping them to use for elections. You know, these palliatives were provided from foreign donations and all of that. The federal government had donated this money, made these monies available for these palliatives to be purchased. But what you now got was politicians ordered it, branded them, and were keeping them for elections. So, you see, palliative is not the way to go because that's why we keep saying that, look, the government can save all of the monies in the world, but with the level of corruption in the country, it will still end up in private pockets. So, okay, the government has said 2 billion has been disbursed. What is the level of success now of that disbursement in terms of palliative sharing across Nigeria? And you know, we've always asked the question, if you know you are a Lagosian, for example, and you got part of the palliative, can you please call us? Or you know someone that got, and how did they get it? Who is not a party member, who does not know any politician, who is just a Lagosian somewhere, and he or she got the palliative. Call us to tell us. And or any other state in the country. So it's just money for the boys. The politicians who sit on it. You know, we on political roundtable stand now. We had a politician, Mr. ഑ He's a politician. He's a member of the AP. He said it in the studio here that, look, if you give 5 bags of rice to a politician to distribute, he will keep 4 for himself and only distribute 1. And that's the nature of our politicians. Let's say the way it is. So again, I'm not surprised that it has ended up in failure. Any other attempt again using the same model of sharing rice and beans will also end in failure. No 2 ways to it.
Well, there's a report here that you know, in Enugu State, for example, there's nothing on ground to indicate whether the state has even received the 2 billion naira or any other palliative materials from the federal government.
The coordinating minister of finance said there has disbursed 2 billion, the first tranche of the 5 billion. So, and no state governor has said they've not received the money. Okay. So if the minister of finance has said that, look, 2 billion has been given to all the states, so we assume that they've received it. Maybe they are still planning, or they are still buying the rice, or they may not want to share at all. Maybe they have a different idea.
Maybe they have a different agenda. You know, some states said that, you know, that if they are owing salaries, they will pay that one first before they go ahead. Is that what, you know, may play out?
This particular this particular money is clear what the federal government expects the state governors to do with it. This is to purchase rice, gari, and all this staple food. Share to the people. That's what the money is meant for.
All right.
If anybody is doing something different, then there's a problem somewhere. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. What about Abia State, where we have Governor Alex Oti barring
Yeah.
political appointees and their family members from distribution of palliatives?
So who will now distribute it?
From I think maybe they meant from receiving the distribution.
From how would he know now? How would he know that you are a family of a politician? Is it by name or just by identification? It's cheap to just make statements like this. We know that the process is far, far more cumbersome. And politicians will always find a way around it. What if you use somebody to come and collect it on your behalf? Okay, you don't want my family. Where are you? You are my friend. Go and collect it on my behalf. We share it. For me, the reason why it is completely ridiculous is that I've never believed in sharing of rice and beans. I knew it was never going to work. I've said it and I still maintain that position that palliatives in the form of sharing rice and beans is a complete waste of time, just trying to make money available for the boys. And that is what it is. And that's what we are seeing from that report. Sandra, these things will never work. We know ourselves. Again, when you come up with ideas, you look at your own internal peculiarities, local peculiarities. Sandra, people will never be truthful to do the right thing.
Well, already
again, it's just a waste of time for me, and it's not going to work. And luckily, that's what is happening. Unfortunately, sorry.
Already 3 weeks, already 3 weeks since the announcement of disbursement of palliative to states, only a handful have swung into action to get the much needed succor to the people. While some governors are still setting up committees, some are still making announcements
to share rice.
Yes, they're setting up committees.
To set committees to share rice.
But Fuad, is it the governor that will share the rice? They will set up committees.
Okay, how do you share now? You give it to local government chairman. Because again, to share, whether you like it or not, is that you try to use. The thing is that where is even the structure to share this thing properly? Then who are you sharing it to? How many people are you giving? Look, the whole idea does not make any sense. No matter how anybody tries to paraphrase it or try to make it work, it's just completely nonsensical to me. It does not make any sense. Trying to reduce the suffering of people by giving out rice and I said it, Sandra. If you are so much impoverished to the point that the only way you can help yourself is to go and collect free rice, I am sure that you don't have the money to buy kerosene or gas to cook it. Okay, how do you get pepper and every other thing that comes with it? And then would you be giving the rice every week or every day? How is that a solution to anything? And that's why I said that maybe Nigerians should go and look at the meaning of palliative and run away from the idea. When politicians throw these things at you, check very well and understand their intentions, have an issue when they come up with this idea. So again, it is what it is. I'm not for any kind of palliatives in the form of sharing rice and beans. I knew it was going to end up in failure. It is. And that's what it will be if it is repeated again. It will only be money for the boys.
All right,
politicians, their political associates and governors.
For the sake of maybe we'll just call it handouts here at Milan FM, so that because I think anytime Fuhad just says palliatives, he just gets very, very
because
upset.
I know what it is. I know what it is. It is going up in failure.
Well, we have chairman, of palliative strategy and implementation committee being set up, in different parts of states. I mean, in Ondo State, for example, Mr. Wale, let me see the name now. Wale Akintarinwa is the chairman of the palliative strategy and implementation committee, and they are overseeing the distribution, overseeing the acquisition of these handouts. Let me use that word. The big stories on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Poor lessons from 2020. Headless wait for palliatives in states amid accountability deficits. We're not even going to go into whether or not the entire 2 billion was spent on the rice, but that's another conversation for another day.
you want to disturb yourself.
It's all right.
You know where that 2 billion was saying.
Whether the whole 2 billion.
You like Wala.
The people in the committee, they have to be paid though, because they are working.
Are they going to do it for free?
We have selfless people in this country. Are you not selfless? I'm selfless. We can do it for our country.
So chairman of committee, secretary of committee, treasurer, maybe PRO too of the committee. Maybe they are just wasting time.
Get double handouts. All right, let's move on now. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Of course, Atiku Obi reject PEPC ruling and head for Supreme Court. That is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. As it is now, we have here riders. It's a shame on Obi. Apapa's Labour Party faction accepts tribunal judgment. Which one is the original one? Is it okay? Abure is the okay. All right.
We have to. Both of them are still on the case.
No, but
I don't know
the
why
one that was at the court, the PEPC, was Abure.
Papa stayed away. Yeah.
Yes, it was Abure.
But again, one would wonder why Papa, who still has a lot of issues hanging around him as to whether he's committed really to the Labour Party and the candidature of Mr. Peter Obi, would now make statements like this. Basically, he's putting himself out for ridicule and for more suspicion. If he's not a fifth columnist within the Labour Party. You understand what I'm saying? No matter the misgivings he may have against Mr. Peter Obi or how he felt he has been treated within the Labour Party, one would still expect some level of solidarity from him as a leader of the party. So when you come out now saying you have accepted the verdict of the tribunal, you are simply putting yourself out as a mole in the house, as someone who never even believed in the party. Maybe you are planted there and all of it. Because that's always been the suspicion and allegations against him. So, but it is what it is, and I think the man should calm down. Really.
All right, but that's party conversation. So, as regards this particular story, we still have other riders now. This one says, accept PEPC verdict. Ohanaeze Bello appeal to Atiku and Obi. And then we also have Akeredolu Afenifere Oshoba congratulate Tinubu. Yoruba Ronu Wazurike Slam Tribunal ruling. Okechukwu pushes for electronic transfer of results to curb litigations. So, different reactions to the verdict that was given. Nigerians are said to be treated to another round of legal fireworks, as it seems that both petitioners, the Labour Party and the PDP, seem to be moving ahead to the Supreme Court. There's another round of waiting for another 60 days. I will see what would, but for what?
Sandra,
I think. Okay.
That's what you expect from true Democrats.
All right.
Yes, I listened to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar saying he respects the judiciary, the justice system, he believes in it, and that because of his belief in the judiciary, he will be appealing the judgment of their tribunal and be proceeding to the Supreme Court. To push further his petition, which is the last level of litigation as far as presidential election matters are concerned, or any other kind of litigation at all in the country. So that's what you expect from a true Democrat. It's within his fundamental human right to seek redress to the highest court in the land, which is the Supreme Court. And that's what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and the PDP have decided to do. The same thing for the Labour Party. We saw a press conference in Anambra yesterday from Mr. Peter Obi, who has also said that when he believes in the judiciary, I've always said it. All of these candidates, Sandra, in the past have all been beneficiaries of the judiciary, of judgment from the court. Remember that Mr. Peter Obi in the past has been reinstated as governor as a result of the verdict of the court. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, too, in a serious battle with former President Olusegun Obasanjo, was protected by the court. So they've all benefited one way or the other from judgments from our courts in the country. So one understands why in their statement they said they believe in the judiciary. So the Supreme Court will have the final say, Sandra. They have a 21 days window to appeal their judgment. Again, the information we have is that they are still waiting for the certified true copy of that judgment. One would think that, well, maybe in the next 24 hours, they have a copy so that their lawyers can study that judgment again properly, and then within 21 days, file their appeal, and then the countdown to 60 days start. So sometime in November, we may have the judgment from the Supreme Court on their petition. So that's democracy at work. That's how to go about it. Become civil, trust the process, and develop with it. And at the end of the day, whatever the Supreme Court says on all of these matters becomes final. We move on with it and get better with it.
Well, just as we read earlier, different reactions to that particular story. This it's a shame on Obi Apapa's Labour Party faction.
Man's going to arrest. It's an elder now. It's an old man. So when you make statements like that, you also open yourself for further ridicule. I respect that it should have been more difficult to his choice of words, But it is what it is. Maybe it's still very bitter about the way it was treated. But again, decorum is needed, especially from an elderly man like that.
Well, it said a whole lot too, because accusing, his presidential candidates of allegedly siphoning money. But then, let's move on to this one now. We also have there's a faction of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, that's the Chidi Ibe led faction of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. Also, urging Atiku and Obi not to appeal the verdict of the tribunal, pleading with them to accept the verdict in good faith. Said a whole lot as regards that particular one.
You know my position with socio-cultural groups now, Sandra. I don't take them serious. You know me. You always know that when it comes to all these Afenifere or any state, these are socio-cultural groups I don't take serious. The candidates have said they are proceeding to the Supreme Court, so be it, because they trust the judiciary. So it's in their right. So only they can. Well, these are just opinions. I don't think you have to take them seriously.
Well, advice, more like it. But then let's move on now to Kogi State. Interesting things happening in Kogi State. Still from this STEM story, because Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello is, while applauding the PEPC ruling which affirmed the election of President Tinubu, he called on the aggrieved opposition parties not to dissipate energy seeking to appeal it, but accept the verdict in good faith. But then,
what would you say?
On the outcome of the Kogi State Tribunal, however...
Yes, he's going to appeal that. They will not appeal that one. You see the problem? And you see the problem?
Which nullified the election of 2 APC senators and gave victory to the opposition PDP candidate Bello, same Yahaya Bello, saying that... I want to assure you that even judging from the pronouncement yesterday, we are going to have our 3-3 state in Kogi, Senate in Kogi. I can assure you. This is democracy and they have the right to appeal. I think they will take the proper steps to ensure
presidential election, don't appeal. But this one appeal, the man should just go and sit down. Yeah. Well, luckily for National Assembly election, it ends at the appeal court. So just one more level to go. We knew that the Kogi Labour APC would appeal that verdict of the tribunal as far as Kogi Central is concerned, on Natasha, winning that one. But everyone would appeal, Sandra. Forget about politicians who not appealing. They will all appeal. They will exhaust all the judicial options available to them. And it's within their right. We have to encourage it. You don't you think? That's democracy as well.
Yes, I mean, we expect it actually. Let's make everything interesting. Let's move on now. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we also have Nigeria needs prayers to end insecurity. And that is coming from our Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badar. Yes, that's what he said. Yes, he has appealed to Nigerians to sustain prayers for the current administration, particularly those at the helm of the nation's security. Of what? Our Minister of Defense says we should pray.
Pray about what exactly, precisely?
He said, he stressed that there are complexities of security challenges and other
aspects. Prayer that will solve it.
He said one could not but ask for prayers to succeed. No, maybe they have strategies, but in order for the prayers to succeed, or for the strategies to succeed, they need prayers. So let's back the strategies up with prayers. So what do you think?
It's fine. Okay, well, it's good. Prayer is the master key. Prayer is good. But I do know that, even the scriptures say walk and pray. So it means that before you pray, you have to do the right thing. So if you keep praying, you are not doing the right thing, you are just wasting time. You are just deceiving yourself. So I would expect the Minister of Defense to do the right thing first, put the work into the job first. Let's see a reorganization of our military, the security apparatus. Let's get them to work to do the right thing. Go after these criminals irrespective of tribe, religion, and political affiliations. Let's begin to see some prosecution of these bandits and criminals. Let's swoop on them. Kill the ones we can kill, arrest the ones we can arrest, prosecute the ones we can prosecute, irrespective of tribe, religion, and political affiliation. And then we can begin to now pray to sustain that effort. No effort you are praying, we are wasting time, Sandra.
All right. The story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's move on now to Lagos. Interesting things still happening in the Lagos State House of Assembly as Lagos Assembly rejects 2 commissioner nominees and confirms 15 others. Let's not forget that in times past, out of 39 nominees that were commissioner nominees that were sent, about 17 or so were not approved. Then they sent another 18 after that, and now we have 2 rejected, 15 confirmed. The story is on page 27. Yes, the story is on page 27 of... I'm with you.
At least one of the 2, we know very well, in fact, they had worked close to lobby the assembly.
What are you supposed to do to lobby the assembly for what?
Our politicians know how to lobby this. I'm not a politician. I just know that lobbying goes on too.
All right.
Political considerations, lobbying, and all of that will still happen.
As against what was indicated on the front page, the story is not on page 27. The story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. So, the speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, who presided over yesterday's sitting, lauded the chief whip, Fatai Mojid-led committee, for a thorough job. The rejected nominees are former Commissioner for Energy, Olalere Odusote, and ex-Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Samuel Egube. Egube. Okay, all right. And the House, however, resolved to step down confirmation of Tolani Sule Akibu for another day. And the rest were, of course, confirmed and were told to bow and go.
Mr. Basa is happy now. His political associates have now made it. Because it was not political consideration for him. So maybe he has now gotten his way. He has gotten his wishes. His people are now in that list. So everybody is happy. We move.
Yes, we move. Just as we are moving on to the Punch newspaper, you're still listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. I have Said Fuhad via the phone line, and my name still remains Omobola Sandra. Don't forget we are live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can drop your comments in the live chat section as well. Now, the front page of the Punch, the major headline: Tribunal judgment, APC lampoons Atiku and Obi, opposition attacks INEC. And we have riders that says judgment devoid of justice, says ex-VP Obi. Opposition planned beavers hacking APC insists.
Sandra. Sandra.
Opposition planned beavers hacking APC insists. Petitioners legal team storm Court of Appeal for judgment certified true copy, of course, as expected. But what? What's happening? APC is saying that opposition hacked INEC.
You know what, Sandra?
Yes.
That's why I said yesterday to say this is the time for us to sit down, reflect on all of these issues.
Okay.
Let's drop all our emotions and sentiments, and then make it an agenda that this is the time for serious electoral reforms. This vicious cycle of every 4 years would only produce the same thing, where we continue to argue about corrupt practices of INEC officials, lack of, respecting guidelines, rigging. The thing about politicians is this: when the rigging favors them, everybody keeps quiet and moves on. You understand what I'm saying? They all want to, look, every politician wants to benefit from the corrupt electoral system, from the very tacky, disorganized electoral system. And that's why none of them is pushing the agenda for serious electoral reform. They all want to go into the electoral process benefiting from the very untidy, tacky, disorganized process that we have. And that's why it's extremely difficult to provide evidence to back up any forms of allegation. Okay, you say they've rigged, they've done this. It is difficult. Instead of all of these back and forth, these statements and counter statements for politicians, can we sit back and look at our electoral process, look at the gray areas, the loopholes in the system, and then fix those things before another 4 years? Because if we allow it to endure again, we leave the process the way it is. After the court procedures, we all keep quiet. Another 4 years approaches 2027, we are going to go back to the same story. And that is why I said that, look, this is the time to dust up the Justice Muhammad Uwais 2008 Electoral Reform Committee report and implement. Look, that report is so detailed to the extent that it answers all of our questions and solves all of the electoral problems that we have in the country. One of the major issues we have, Sandra, is the issue of technology in our election. From the ruling of the appeal court, unless the Supreme Court says something different, it is now clear that, look, all of the INEC guidelines are just discretionary. It is not compulsory. So far, the Constitution does not say it. So all of these beavers, all of these things we are saying, if they are not enshrined in our Constitution as a part of our electoral process, and they remain a form of guideline, then it does not matter in the face of the law. So what is the excitement about beavers, about electronic voting, and every other thing that we have been talking about, if they are just mere guidelines articulated by INEC, or even the issue of electronic transmission of results? That was one of the things a lot of people were so optimistic about as far as the last election was concerned. But the appeal court, the tribunal assembly told us that those were just mere guidelines and they are really not known to the law. And so it is left at the discretion of INEC. So what I'm saying is that, look, can we all just sit back, calm down, take the spoils, and then fix the problems in our elections to make it better? And the easiest way to do that, Sandra, is to adopt technology. Technology will reduce the incidence of human beings trying to manipulate election results and all of that. If you look at the Kogi ruling on Natasha, the tribunal in Kogi was saying that, look, INEC officials were reducing figures for some people and inflating the others. So if you have technology, the incidence of inflation and all of these things will be reduced, and then we can have a proper election. Sandra, you are so aware that in that Justice Ways report, it talks about tribunals resolving all election petitions before people are sworn in. That we should have elections in a way where all litigations are sorted out before swearing in anybody. Those are the things we should now begin to talk about and set as our agenda, to reform our electoral process. And that's my position. All of this back and forth by politicians is unnecessary. It's just mere distraction. It will lead us nowhere.
Oh, wow. Well, aptly put forward. Thank you very much. The reactions, of course, as we've all gotten different reactions. Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, similarly also criticized the judgment of the PEPT. PDP presidential candidates, his advisors also rejected the reports, and the APC also kicked. The APC, interestingly, is saying that, if INEC or if there are any issues as regards the technology, why not bring in, a tech expert who can say that, okay, maybe there was some sort of compromise as regards INEC or technical glitches or whatnot.
Sandra, even the idea of transmission of results real time from polling units, the court has told us now that they are just mere guidelines, which is at the discretion of INEC. So, what we are saying is that, so at every time when INEC comes up with these guidelines, we should be careful to take them too seriously, because it may not really matter when it comes to election petitions. So can we now make it a constitutional matter to reform the process and ensure that it becomes part of the law, not just at the discretion of INEC? That's what I'm saying.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Fuhad. The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper, the different reactions to the tribunal judgment from the three parties, APC, PDP, and the Labour Party. All right, let's move on now. We also have here on the front page of the Punch, Akeredolu returns. He's now in Ibadan. He's in his residence in Ibadan. And that story is on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. So, are we excited about that? What exactly is your reaction to the return of Ondo State Governor?
We saw his pictures. We saw very short videos of his time. I assume that's a privately chartered jet that brought him. They said he returned from Germany to Nigeria in Ibadan now. He looks very frail, pale and frail too. I'm sure this is somebody who is battling a very serious form of ailment, maybe life-threatening. I won't think that this is the time for him to throw in the towel, to take care of himself so that the state does not suffer in terms of governance. It's clear that he's battling something very serious, really, and he needs a lot of time to himself to take care of himself. So I would expect that, if it's about really governance and it's about the service to the people, if it's just about service to the people, I think Governor Akeredolu should just hand over power to his deputy, to have more time to take care of himself, really.
All right, then. Well, the Ondo State Governor, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, has returned to the country from his medical vacation in Germany. Let's not forget that he left the country some months ago for medical treatment in Germany. And the news of his return has been confirmed by his wife, Betty, on X, formerly Twitter, where she posted his picture in an aeroplane and wrote "homebound" with emojis pointing at a house, indicating homecoming.
Sandra,
yes.
Sandra, as human beings, especially men, we should be careful when women push us too much. Something comes to mind. I remember Dan Baba Sunte, the former governor of Taraba State, when he had, an aircraft accident and he was incapacitated mentally. You had a situation where the wife keeps pushing him on, urging him on, embarrassing the man, trying to still keep him in power. You had a wife who was even trying to make the man appear and, hold press conferences. And it was clear to everybody that this woman was just, women with power. I'm sorry. Some women, women.
It's okay.
So, but what we are saying is that, look, Madam Betty should allow, this man to rest, and the man should also allow himself to rest and take care of himself. You understand what I'm saying? That Baba Sunte eventually died. And we have not been seeing pictures of the wife who has now gone to marry a younger man. The pictures are all over. They push you go and die now. The woman will move on. I think
how did this become a marital issue?
I'm just saying. I can never forget that Baba Sunte. Actually served in Taraba, so I know the man very well.
All right.
And the woman don't go marry young boy now. That Baba don't go.
Well, we wish Governor Akeredolu all the best. We wish him speedy recovery. I think I'll just move on from that one. Stories on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. Let's move on now. We also have here on the front page of the Punch, just above the masthead, set up customer centers. Federal government tells discos. And that is on page 19 of the Punch. So, we have here, the federal government has ordered power distribution companies to deploy customer engagement platforms within the next 3 months, beginning from September 1, 2023. And this means that discos must install the facilities before January 2024. This is interesting. Do you think this will help in resolving anything? Because the whole point of doing this is to resolve complaints of power users. Do you think this would solve anything?
No, to resolve the issue. Again, we always try. Let us put this side by side. Look at the way the telecommunication guys are functioning. Put them against the power sector guys. One is expecting that this is still privatization now. The telecoms guys, all the telecommunication networks have a very active customer desk, even though they may not resolve all of your issues, but at least there's somebody to talk to. Put that against all these distribution companies. Even their customer services, when you go to their office, you almost pick them up, the way they react to you. They are so unruly. They even be doing as if they are doing you a favor. Lack of training. In fact, the current disco, their customer desk is worse than the old DEPA. I'm telling you. So, and that's why the government is saying, and it's not just to put up the desk, train them properly on what customer service is supposed to be. It's about resolving issues for the people. Customer service is about making the customer number one first. I'm not doing as if you are trying to help them or, nobody can visit any of the discos and try to talk to your customer service people. You see what I'm talking about. It's not as if they don't have the desk, but they have a very terrible desk. The training is not there. There's no sense of urgency. You understand that they don't even understand why they are there.
Well,
and so it's important. Because again, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a very active customer desk where a customer can complain and have issues resolved immediately.
As it is now, they have or the NERC has said that they have resolved to deploy a call center to improve the rate of resolution of complaints filed, providing real-time visibility of customer complaints, also to check or monitor disco service quality and delivery to their customers. And all discos are expected to have full-featured customer engagement platforms that integrate seamlessly with the system deployed by the Commission. So by January 2024,
very normal.
We should have customer centers for discos.
Why is it taking that long, Sandra? Why is it taking that long? To get the customer service set up for
engineering, the wiring, the recruitment.
Wiring what?
Let's give them time. We're good people.
Okay.
We have good hearts.
I hear you.
This is the same discos that are owing banks that will do all of this. I'm just asking you. I'm just curious.
It's because they don't have a good customer service that they are owing. Look at it. We keep saying it. These are two sectors that provide essential service. One provides communication to the people and all of that. The other provides power, which is, for me, is even more essential than telecom. But the other ones are doing well, making profit, declaring profit, hiring, paying people well. The other one is suffering and declaring losses. Why won't they declare losses when they are running the business terribly?
All right, let's move on finally to, still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, probe, Rep summon Nimasa, NPA, NNPCL, MDs and others. And that story is on page 23. So the House of Reps ad hoc committee on disposal of public property on Thursday, summoned the DG of NIMASA, Bashir Jamo, the Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, Malam Mohammed Koko, and the Comptroller General of Nigerian Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, to defend the auctioning of some public properties by the agencies.
Well, there should be accountability. We have too many probes going on, Sandra. We just hope that it will not just end up as probes and without any resolution.
Now, this particular commission is looking into or investigating the illegal auctioning of government properties by various ministries and agencies. Where maybe they seize things from people, and then before you know it, you go to try to recover your.
That's what I'm saying. It's good to probe these things and see whether anybody has broken the law.
Okay.
And we keep saying it. You don't just probe and end it there. Probe and prosecute. So it serves as a form of deterrence. You understand what I'm saying? When you probe and it just ends up as a probe. You remember Professor Pondy, the NDDC guy that fainted? What was the resolution of that probe now? And we have had too many probes, so we just probe and then it ends. It's all hot air. The Nigeria air probe, what has it ended it? What has ended it? So it's all hot air, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. So I want to see a situation where we don't just probe. We probe to the point where we can hold people responsible, prosecute them, so that it's not a form of deterrence.
Well, the panel rejected the presentation from the Nigerian Railway Corporation, saying that the submission or the document that were submitted were those from 2015 and 2016, and it's noted here that, and I'm quoting, "With due respect to your MD, this is an insult to this committee and Parliament. You can't give us documents from 2016 to work with. The committee is rejecting this presentation. Take them back to your MD and let him show respect to the committee and represent in 48 hours. Well, I hope.
Thank God that the man even went there with a document of 2016. We've had situations where these and them, they say they don't have any document yet, no figures, no nothing to work with. Remember ᴛᴇɪ, several of his appearances before the committee, different committees, without any document, no data, no information.
And he didn't go back. What?
Before. That's what I'm saying now, that these probes, we've seen a lot of them that have achieved nothing practically. All
right.
So I hope it's not one of those vicious cycles of probe, nothing happens at the end of the day.
All right. Well, we also have here, just very quickly on the front page of the Punch, manufacturers pay 607 billion naira tax in 6 months, and that's coming from NBS, that's National Bureau of Statistics. Taxes paid by manufacturers in 2023 increased by 115% in the first quarter into the second quarter. Well, we seem to be making some. Money for it, but
let the money work for the people now. Fix infrastructure, improve the lives of the people. Taxes are normal all over the world, but taxes become important when the people begin to see what the taxes are doing for them. Fixing infrastructure, making them live a better life, So make more money, but let it also trickle down to improving the lives of the people.
All right, thank you very much. This is still Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, and we are looking through major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. All right, we'll soon be done with this. Time isn't really not on our side, but we still have 2 more papers to go. Let's just quickly run through Nigerian Tribune. The major headline there is saying Atiku Obi, why we are going to Supreme Court. And there are riders here that says election court judgment lacks justice. I reject it. And that's coming from Atiku Abubakar. Election petitions will be non-existent if INEC discharges its functions transparently. Labour
That's
Party
why we need reforms. That's why we need reforms, electoral reforms. Yeah.
Well, amend the Electoral Act to ensure conclusion of litigation before swearing in.
It's in the Wales report, part of the reforms we are talking about. Yeah,
we just mentioned that now. APC pleads with Atiku Obi to join in nation building, and Adegborua, Aliu, Clark, others speak. And that's on pages 3 and 27 of Nigerian Tribune. Oh, it's such a shame we do not have the Punch. Oh no. Okay, there's a paper I've been waiting for. This story, Wike's story. I don't know, it's not here. It's so painful. But then let's move on. Still on the front page of Nigerian Tribune, we have 19 kidnapped in FCT Council. Wike may hold emergency security meeting. And the story is on page 26 of Nigerian Tribune. Also, we have here $46 billion crude oil stolen in Nigeria in 11 years. That's coming from our speaker. The story is on page 8 of Nigerian Tribune. All right, we also have Army Corps marshals 14 officers, 19 soldiers for various offenses. That is on page 23. We also have here Song.
Song.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to know if I got that correctly. Court restrains Oyo government from installing Olaoye. All right.
There's a case in court there.
That's
a pastor, Pastor Gandhi, who has been chosen as a Shong or Bofobomosho. I think there are some families are in court already, against his installation as the Shong, the next Shong of Bofobomosho. So the court will decide all of that.
Okay. Well, the story is on page 23 of Nigerian Tribune. That's all we can take from Nigerian Tribune as regards trending stories that we have for today. And finally, New Telegraph, the major headline, PEPT's affirmation of Tinubu's victory. Atiku Obi head for Supreme Court to appeal judgment. And we have riders, justice not served. I can't endorse illegality, says Atiku. As Obi disagrees with court reasoning and conclusions, rejects government of national unity. Judgment generous in technicalities, short in justice, says PDP. National Assembly should amend relevant laws to correct ambiguities. That's coming from ACF. That's, I think, Arewa Consultative Forum.
There's a report to work with, all of it. Because again, what we have been doing with our electoral reforms and the Electoral Act, year in, year out, is to just pick one or two things. You have to do what is called a complete holistic reforms. The Waste report, for example, talks about how the INEC chairman is supposed to be chosen to ensure that,
by the president.
It's not appointed by the president. You have an independent judicial body choosing the chairman of it. In fact, it has to be advertised. It can even be something that people contest for, and you choose the best of the best. So the Waste report also details how we can ensure INEC is completely independent and free from any form of political influence. It talks about how to prosecute corrupt INEC officials. It talks about, technology in our elections. It talks about how to handle court processes to ensure that they are concluded even before swearing. A lot of things in that report. And this was judiciously put together by a committee that worked tirelessly. Coming from a Yaradua who had thought that his election that brought him in was fought with all manner of illegality and wanted to fix the problem. Well, we have the report, we have been diligently with it, and it is there. And every 4 years, we keep doing the same thing and getting the same result.
But thank you very much. And finally, from New Telegraph, we have Nigeria needs new indigenous constitution, and that is coming from Counsel to the People's Democratic Party, Mike Ozekome, SAN, saying that Nigeria needs an indigenous and autonomous constitution that will enjoy the acceptability and respectability of the people. According to him, the 1999 constitution foisted and imposed on the people by the military will lead the country nowhere, insisting that what Nigerians want is a sovereign constitution debated and developed by Nigerians themselves. What?
Yeah, so are
you saying Nigerians should be allowed? But
I agree.
This is a senior advocate of Nigeria, don't you think?
No. The statement is valid. What he's saying is very valid. A lot of us have said that, look, the 1999 constitution was imposed on the Nigerian people by the military. It's not the people's constitution. A group of people just sat down somewhere and drafted the constitution for the military junta. And so people have always questioned the fact that there are a lot of lacuna, a lot of inconsistencies, that gives room for technicalities to be explored in our constitution. So we need the people's constitution. But the question is this: you have a National Assembly that is now mandated by constitution to do these things. Until maybe the Assembly now decides that we should have a form of a national conference that gives us the people's constitution, nothing would happen. I agree that the Nigerian constitution has a lot of problems and it needs to be fixed.
All right, thank you very much, Fuad. We'll take a break now and be back by 8:40 for Milan Focus. All right, thank you very much for tuning in. This is a wrap on trends in the papers for this week. All right, but stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll just take a short break. When we come back by 8:40 for Milan Focus, where you, our dear listener, get to be a part of the conversation. This is Milan 98.3 FM, and we are the sound of Lagos.